There's something high status speakers do that almost no one notices, and it completely changes the way that people respond to them. It's not body language, it's not tone, it's not confidence. It's silence. In this video, I'm going to show you why knowing when not to speak might be the most powerful speaking tool you'll ever learn. And by the end of this video, I'll show you how to use silence as a weapon, and you'll know when to recognize when a powerful speaker is using it against you. Now, if you're wondering why in the world should I listen to this guy, my name is Nick Lutalo. I've studied and practiced communication for the better part of this decade, and I went from being shy, awkward, and unconfident to speaking completely comfortably on business calls, to somehow enjoying public speaking and performing comfortably and smoothly in front of hundreds of people. And now I help others do the same with their speech. Now, silence is an incredibly powerful tool that completely changed the way that you communicate with other people for the better. You'll be able to command more authority whenever you're speaking to someone, whether it's on a call or in person. And it's also an incredible power move in general. Now, in order to actually be able to use it properly, you need to reframe and reimagine your relationship with silence in the first place. And you're probably doing something already that's making it difficult for you to actually use silence in the way that I'm going to explain it in this video. And the first thing is that you see silence as awkward. If you've ever been in a situation, you're like, oh man, this is such an awkward silence, or oh man, like this conversation was really bad with this person. There was this awkward silence at the beginning. I didn't know what to say. You've already made it incredibly difficult for yourself to use this. Why? Because awkward silence doesn't actually exist. Silence is only awkward when you make it awkward. It's how you frame it. I've been in situations where I would have in the past felt like it was incredibly awkward. But because I was able to maintain composure, stay calm, and think rationally in the situation, and enjoy the silence, it wasn't awkward by any means. Most people are afraid of silence. Most people have no idea what to do with it, and probably you. If you get into a situation where you're speaking to someone and the conversation kind of dies down a little bit, what do? Usually, you'll rush to fill that silence. You'll rush to fill that conversation. You'll say something random that doesn't make any sense. Oh yeah, did you see the weather today? Or what else are you doing today? And it leads to a drier conversation. But when you can own that silence and live in it, that's power. Now, what does silence actually allow you to do? It allows you to control the pace and the direction of the conversation. You can make the conversation go slower, you can take your time, and you can also use it to impact people, make your words more valuable. You see, the funny part about speaking less is that people would just naturally think you're a better speaker and you didn't even have to use more words. It's something I talked about in my last video, which is the 80-20 rule of communication. And it's essentially that 80% of the results come from 20% of the inputs. Most people use this rule for productivity, but you can actually apply it to communication. Most of the words that you say don't actually give you 80% of the results. So that means that you don't have to speak as much as you think that you do. So how do you actually use silence in this way to get that 80% of those results? And the first thing is that you can use it as a weapon. Or I say weapon, you're not hurting anybody, but you can use it to get people to open up more. Now, what do I mean by this? So say you're in a situation, say you're on a call where you're trying to help someone to make an empowered buying decision. I'm talking about sales, but it doesn't even have to be sales. It can be, say, you're coaching someone and you want to be able to give them the best results possible. You're helping them through a problem that they have. You can do a lot better if you know more about that problem. So what you can do is Say you ask them a question, they give you a response, they go on for maybe 1 or 2 sentences, and you've heard a little bit, but they said a lot, but not very much. Because especially a lot of the time when you ask someone a question, they'll give you an answer, but they'll never dive deep off of the first response. That's why you normally have to dig and dig and dig. But what you can do to make yourself not even have to do that in the first place is just pause. They ask or they answer your question, and you just go like, Because the other person hasn't watched this video like you have, they're not going to like that silence, and then they're going to keep talking, and then they're going to expand. And they'll give you more information, and more information is more power. It's more things for you to use, more things for you to go off of, and more ways that you can help that person if it's in that context. That's one of the best ways you can use silence. You get people to open up more, because communication shouldn't always be focused on you. It should never be focused on you. It should always be focused on the other person anyway. So by using silence in that way, you learn more about the other person, and you can then help them 1,000 times more than you otherwise would have. Now, another way that you can use silence to your advantage is by using it to make your responses better. So how do you do this? When someone asks you something now, so say you're the one being interviewed, you're the one being asked for advice or something like that. You take your time. What a lot of people will do when they're asked a question is they feel that they need to rush and fill the silence as soon as possible, because they need to get a smart response out as fast as possible. And it's going to make them look very smart if they can respond on the spot. And the reason a lot of people do this is because they feel that if they don't respond fast enough, then people are going to think that they're stupid, or it's going to be awkward because they don't like the silence. Or maybe they feel that someone else is going to butt in and interrupt them. A lot of this might come from if you ever watched a debate or been in a debate, and you have someone say they ask the other person a rhetorical question, or maybe it wouldn't be a rhetorical question because they're responding, but they would ask the question, and then the other person would take a second to think about it, and then they would go like, I got you. That means that you don't know what the answer is. And it's like, no, they're just thinking about a better response. But in the moment, it's like a power move. They go like, I got you. See, you don't know what to say. And then it stops you from using this skill in the best way that you can. Because when someone asks you a question, the single best thing that you can do is pause. One, because it helps you to formulate a better response. It gives you time. And then two, it makes people see that you're thinking about the response. And when people see that you're thinking about the response, it doesn't make you look less smart. It doesn't make you look less authoritative. It makes you look more smart, more authoritative, because you're thinking. And it shows that you're respecting their question by taking that time, which in turn makes you look like a better speaker and builds more rapport with the person that you're speaking to in that situation. That's what makes it so powerful. And when you're thinking about what to say, how can you actually improve the quality of those words? Well, for one, just think about it. Take as much time as you need. It normally isn't even that long. You only normally need a few seconds and you'll be fine. But another thing that you can do to make it more effective is by using speech frameworks. One that I like to use is PREP, P-R-E-P, point, reason, example, points. There's a bunch of other different frameworks you can use. I have a tool in the description for free you can use that goes over a bunch of them in my free school community. But outside of that, PREP is very simple. Points, you say the points, or the main argument of what you're going to say. Reason, you give a reason for it. Example, you show an example to illustrate that point. And then you reiterate the point at the end to tie it all and bring it all together. And what that does, it makes your speech more concise, it makes it clear, and it makes it easy for people to understand. That's what makes it so effective. So, if you use the silence to be able to apply frameworks to your thinking, and to be able to make it seem, not even to make it seem, to literally respect people's questions more by taking that time, you have more power in a conversation. Now, another way that you can use this to your advantage is, well, one, we talked about pausing before answering, but two is by using silence sparingly throughout your language. Now, what does this actually do for you? You can use it in multiple different ways. You can use it to make your words have more impact, to make your sentences have more impact. And then you can also use it to build suspense midway through a phrase. And when you use it like this, people will hang on your every word because they want to hear what's next. Because most people these days have horrendous attention spans. They can't focus. Nobody can focus. Everyone's watching short form content all the time. But this is a way to keep your speech dynamic, moving, and keep people's attention throughout. So, for example, say you're speaking with somebody and you're making a point. So you're about to make a big statement and you want people to pay more attention. What you can do is you make your statement and then pause midway through to build suspense. I did it very exaggeratingly there, but you get the idea. It's essentially pausing midway through to build tension and then resolving that tension after a couple of seconds. And then another way that you can use it is in between phrases or after a big sentence. So you can make a big contrarian statement, like, I'm not going to make a big contrarian statement, I want this video taken down, but you get the idea. Make a big statement and you go like, that's why I think that this is wrong. And you give the audience time to think about it and they'll take the time to think about it. They go like, wow, he said that. That's actually really interesting. Or they'll think about how to apply it into their life. You can use it. It doesn't have to be for big rhetorical effect. It can be to make something sink in for a person. When you give people time to think about it, they think about it more and it makes them remember it more. So save this for your very important points that you want to make. Use that silence at the end if you really want something implanted in somebody's head. If you're coaching someone and you want them to remember one specific point, do it there. If you're making a big pitch or you're giving a big speech and there's an important detail that you want them to remember, pause there. If you use this effectively, it'll improve the quality of your speech and make it so much more powerful than if you just spoke and spoke and spoke and spoke and spoke and didn't ever stop. Now, one of my favorite parts about using silence in all of these ways is that it's also just a complete power move. You see, the thing about silence is that if you're comfortable in it, other people usually aren't, and that will make them see you as borderline superhuman. You see, for example, say someone came up to me, say it was an employee of mine, if I had employees, and they wanted a raise, for example, they wanted to make more money. And they come up to me and they say, oh yeah, so let's say it's you in the example, actually. It'll make it more easy or clear. So say they're coming to you for a raise. You have an employee coming up to you. Say it's your video editor or something like that. He's like, hey, I would like more money. And then he comes up to you and he says, yeah, so he gives a whole pitch. And then at the end of the pitch, he goes like, wait, that's why I should make more money. And then you're thinking about it. You take a couple seconds because you need to think about it. You go like, okay, well, I need to think about changing the finances around, looking at the budget. You're just thinking about it. But then while you're thinking about it, they go like, well, like, I can work more. I can do more of this. I can also do this too. And, it's completely fine if it doesn't work. It's completely fine. Now, what if they came up to you and they gave the whole pitch and then were like, and that's why I think that I should be making more. And then you take your time to think about it. And then they're just sitting there enjoying the silence. They're holding eye contact. Maybe they take a sip of their water. Actually, I'm going to take a sip of my water right now. And they enjoy the silence. How much more powerful do you think that person would be? Would you give the person that raise? I would. I know I would. And that's why silence is such a powerful tool for you to use. If you know how to use it and you know how to sit in silence comfortably, and you don't jump at the first opportunity to fill the silence, you'll be a way better speaker than 99% of people. If you want more speaking tips like this in a more, I'll say, more organized way, then you can check the description. I have a free school community with a bunch of tools for you to use to improve that. But outside of that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And remember, don't overthink it. You're a lot better at speaking than you think that you are. Click here, watch this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one.